Hey guys, happy Cinco de Mayo. It's Tuesday, so we will be doing a yin practice tonight, roughly 30, maybe 40 minutes. We'll be focusing on kind of the upper body and some spine movements. We shouldn't need any special props or anything. Just maybe if you'd like a blanket or a towel under the knees for some support. That should be about it. I think that the sound should be a little bit better tonight. I think we worked out those issues that was happening last week. So we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead and make your way to the mat. And just find any comfortable seated position to start out. We'll start to settle into the body and take a few moments here in a meditation. So whatever seat that you're in, allow the spine to grow tall. Allow the eyes to close. And just feel your whole body start to melt. Notice the points of contact that you're making with the ground or with the mat. And allow yourself to feel rooted, grounded. On your next inhale, start to deepen the breath. So lengthening that inhale, filling up the whole belly. And then exhale, fully release. Take a quick scan of the body. Notice if there's anywhere that maybe needs some extra attention tonight. Maybe any areas that are holding some tension, holding some stress. And just observe that, just notice that right now. Take just a few more of those deep belly breaths. And then gently begin to flutter the eyes open. And we'll make our way into our first posture of the evening. Come into your tabletop. So make sure that the knees are right under the hips here. The feet extend out long behind you. The toes are untucked. To start out, the wrists are underneath the shoulders. And our first yin pose will be a melting heart. So just start to walk those hands out in front of you. As the heart sinks down, keep the hips over the knees. So the lower body stays just as it is in tabletop. And the heart really presses down through the mat, to the mat. I'm going to go ahead and start my watch. We'll be in this pose for 3 minutes. You can let the chin or the forehead rest on the mat, whatever feels most comfortable for you. Continue with that deep belly breathing, just as we did in our meditation to begin the class. We have just over 1 minute left here. With your next breath, gently start to lift the forehead, lift the heart, and walk the hands back in underneath the shoulders. We'll take the knees out wide, bringing the big toes together, and sink down into a child's pose. We're just going to be here for 1 minute. Since we had the arms extended out long, it might feel good to let the shoulders rest and bring the arms down next to the knees for this child's pose. Allow the sits bones to sink down towards the heels. With the next breath, begin to lift out of your child's pose, coming back into that tabletop position, and then we'll walk the hands forward as we straighten the legs, coming down onto the belly. So from here, we're going to make our way into either a Sphinx pose or a seal pose. So I'll demonstrate Sphinx pose first. The forearms press down onto the mat, the fingertips are spread wide, and as the forearms press down, the heart opens as you gaze up. So we're kind of targeting the upper body here. If you don't feel enough of a stretch in this posture, you also have the option to straighten the elbows, making it a deeper back bend. This is seal's pose. So choose whatever variation you'd like. Again, we'll be holding this one for 3 minutes. So once you find the posture that feels best for you, commit to staying there for the full 3 minutes. Find that rhythm of the breath and settle in. We're just about halfway through here. So quickly do a scan of the body, noticing if you're holding on to any tension in the forehead, the jaw. Maybe you're curling the toes. And send some breath to those areas. We have just 30 more seconds here. Stay with me for these last few rounds of breath. On an exhale, gently lower the heart down. Stack one palm on top of the other, coming into crocodile pose. And just let the forehead rest on top of the palms, maybe shaking the head no from side to side, rolling the forehead on top of the palms. Come to stillness and take one full inhale and full exhale. Next, we're moving into a shoulder opener. So we'll take the right arm out long into a T, so at a 90-degree angle from the body, palm is facing down. From here, to get into the shoulder opener, we'll press the whole inside of the arm onto the ground as you roll over onto your right side. So the left hip will come up off of the mat and that left hand can press in. You can bring the bottom of the left foot to the mat, bending that left knee and opening up a little bit more. If this stretch is too intense or you've had any shoulder injuries in the past, you can also take this pose with the wall by coming right next to the wall and just reaching back and using that wall to get the same opening in the shoulder. So find the variation that works for you. And we'll be holding it here for 2 minutes. Just a few moments left on this side. Take one more breath with this right arm extended. And then with your next breath, come back onto the belly. If you've taken this pose against the wall, just let that right arm drop down. And we'll prepare for the left side. Take a moment to kind of reset. Notice any differences that you're feeling on one side of the body versus the other. And then when you're ready, you can extend that left arm out to a 90-degree angle, pressing in with the right palm and rolling over onto the left side. It's just an option to bring this right knee up. You can leave it extended long on the mat. It gives it a bit of a deeper twist with the knee bent, pressing into the ground. So if you're doing this posture up against the wall, as you bring that arm closer, that shoulder closer to the wall, it'll intensify the stretch. Let's take 3 more breaths here on this left side. Full inhale and full exhale from the belly. When you finish the 3rd breath, gently roll back over onto the belly and come into that crocodile pose, palms stacked one on top of another, forehead resting on the back of the hand. Bring the hands under the shoulders and press back into your child's pose. 1 minute here. You can choose to stretch the arms long this time, or if it felt good to have the hands next to the knees, you have that option as well. Inhale it back up to your tabletop position. Bring the feet to one side as your sits bones find the mat. And then we'll just slowly lower down all the way to the mat, allowing the spine to lengthen out. Stretch the legs out long. And we'll bring the arms up overhead for a full body stretch, head to toe. Start to walk the feet over to the right side. The left heel can cross over top of the right. And then we'll walk the hands over to that same side. So the hands and the feet are going in the same direction. We're creating a C shape or a half moon type of shape with the body. And we're going to hold it here for 3 full minutes. So during those 3 minutes, feel the whole left side of the body opening as you're sending breath to the left ribs. We've just crossed the halfway point. So maybe you walk those hands a little further over to the right side, deepening this stretch. Keep that left shoulder, both shoulders pressed into the ground, keeping the heart and the chest open here. After your next breath, begin to uncross the ankles. Allow the heels to move back to the center of the mat. And then allow the upper body to follow. So we're in one long line now, stretching from fingertips to toes. When you're ready for the next side, start to walk the heels over to the left. That right ankle can come over top of the left. And then the fingertips, the upper body begins to go in that same direction. So again, creating that C shape. Both shoulder blades are pressing into the mat so the upper back doesn't lift. Starting my watch now for 3 minutes. We have just about 1 more minute to go. Take 1 more deep breath. And then find your way back to the center of the mat. Go ahead and pull the knees in towards the chest, maybe making some circles with the knees and massaging the lower back. We have 1 more pose left before we move into our Shavasana, and that'll be a spinal twist. So when you're ready for that, we'll bring the knees to about a 90-degree angle. You can bring the arms out to the sides into that T, and then we'll start to drop the knees over to the right side. That whole upper back stays pressed into the mat. If you'd like to deepen the twist, you can take your gaze over to the left hand. We'll be here for 2 minutes. Gently begin to bring the gaze back to the center. Inhale the knees back up into the chest. Pausing here for just a moment. And then dropping the knees over to the other side. Bringing the opposite arm out into a T. And maybe taking your gaze in the opposite direction of the knees. It may feel good to place a hand over the right leg or the right thigh to add a little bit of weight and deepen this twist. have just a few more moments left here. Take a few more breaths in your twist. Slowly make your way back to the center, pulling the knees into the chest one final time, taking any final movements or final poses that you need to close out your practice. And then when you feel ready, extending the legs out long to each corner of the mat. Maybe grabbing any props that you like for our final resting pose. And then settling in, sinking into your Shavasana. Bring your body back to the present. Take some gentle movements in the fingers and in the toes. slowly rolling over onto one side and allowing all the benefits of your practice to sink in. Moving nice and slowly, press your way up into a seated position. Bringing the hands to meet at heart center. Together we'll bring the thumb knuckle up to the third eye as we bow and say Namaste. I hope everyone enjoyed that spinal upper body yin practice today. Thank you for watching and have a good rest of your night.